Hello, Internet. I am Corion, your witch in residence here on YouTube. And when I was a kid, the first time I watched The Last Starfighter was at home. I had just gotten a VCR in the family, and we were watching a tape of The Last Starfighter. And for those who weren't alive during the heyday of the arcade, this probably had to be every kid's fantasy. I feel like this is a movie that, had it been given the chance, could have competed with Star Wars in terms of the fantasy of going to space and fighting the bad guys and being the hero. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about why we dream of leaving our farm, our house, our trailer park, and going to the stars. But before we get too deep into that, first I'd like to say that up above me, I'm going to say hereish, is going to be a link to vote for me for the Cheer Choice Awards, which I've been nominated for. Please consider clicking on the link and voting for me and voting for your favorite YouTubers in other categories. I'm sure they would love the vote. You can vote every 24 hours, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would consider. As well, if you would like, please leave a like, a subscribe, or consider joining the channel as a member. We do some really fun stuff. We've been doing deep dives on my member only videos into the religions of the world. So far, we've done Sikhism, and I think we're going to cover Hinduism next. So please consider joining for that, as well as many of the other channel perks. It's really worthwhile. But with that obligatory ritual out of the way, let's do a deep dive into The Last Starfighter. So I think why we yearn to leave our house for adventure is probably as old a question as, why the stars are in the sky or why is the sky blue. There is something about leaving the everyday for an adventure that thrills, that delights, and that terrifies us. Because while we're a kid and we've been protected by our parents and we think that we are invincible, the idea of going on an adventure where we can fight the bad guys and win and come home a hero sounds great. And as we get older, we realize there's a higher chance of danger. And as we get older still, we realize that home is still pretty good. And even when we've had some small adventures, we yearn for the comforts of home. So, somebody once asked me, and I thought this was a funny question, why do you never see like an 80-year-old grandma being the chosen one that has to go on the adventure? And it's because she's had her adventures, is the ultimate answer. And The Last Starfighter is about this kid's first big adventure. I mean, consider when the kid gets the call to adventure. It's when he's up for being accepted into college. That start of what many in North America would consider their first great adventure of living on their own, living somewhere different, and having to be responsible for oneself. And I think ultimately that responsible for oneself and being the hero is really what brings us to that call for adventure. Many of us don't get to experience being their own person, being responsible for themselves and what they choose to do with their lives until university, and sometimes even beyond then. So it's worth asking ourselves what kind of adventure we look for in our lives. Do we seek that rocking space adventure with a reptile co pilot and an unproven starfighter taking on Zur and the Kodan Armada? Or do we seek simpler adventures? Maybe going and visiting a city you've never been to and playing tourist. Um, Personally, before I moved to New York, I had the opportunity with my high school class to visit New York and see some Broadway plays and tour the city and see if we had what it took to make it there. And when it came time for university, I tried to make it there. And I think I did okay. But to be honest, I'm much happier at home in Canada. When I went, just before I left, 9/11 occurred. And while I was not involved in the cleanup or anything along those lines, it really affected me going to a place that didn't just need physical healing from the damage, but a lot of spiritual and emotional healing. And while I was a university student and just worrying about getting my degree, I think that might have put me on the path that I'm on today of wanting to help heal people who were damaged, who were hurt, not necessarily physically, but deep inside hurt. So that was my adventure, right? Um, that was my big story. And I think all of us have that call at some point in our life to go on an adventure, to do something different and unique and embrace that part of our lives that seeks to go out and get out from under our parents and do something daring. But as we get older and we've gotten into our jobs and our careers, we lose that taste for adventure a little bit. Well, I want to remind you guys that just because you don't have a taste for it at this moment doesn't mean it's gone all the way. Consider your next adventure. Consider doing something, even if it's small, on a journey that's going to have some excitement for you, that's going to take you out of your everyday, out of your ordinary, and put you somewhere where you have an opportunity to do some good, whatever that good is, even if that good is just good for you. Okay? You know, stick your feet in the ocean, right? Go go explore parts of your own country you've never seen or explore somewhere you've always wanted to go. Take the road home that you haven't taken before. Do so safely, but do so to regain that sense of adventure, that sense of wild, because we deserve it. Okay? We are all free to explore, to have adventures, to have wonder back in our lives, to see something we don't every day because we need that in our lives. We need to leave the farm with old Ben Kenobi or go riding shotgun in a starfighter with a space lizard or even just decide that it's high time you see the Radio City Rockettes in person, which is a fantastic show, by the way. These are things that we need to do because those adventures, those disruptions to the ordinary bring hope and life and light back into our lives, right? It makes the mundane a little more bearable because we have those precious memories to look back on, okay? Those important moments in our lives where we get to say, hey, you remember that time we went to some random city and instead of having the car company drop off the car, we went and got it and brought it back ourselves and had an adventure on the way and stopped at a mall we'd never been into and just kind of looked around and had a good time. Or remember when we found that one place where there was still a Toys R Us, only it was like the Toys R Us that time forgot, and we were able to find 80s toys there somehow, right? Those kind of adventures are important. And if you can go on them, go on them. And if you can share them, even better. Your brothers, your sisters, the people closest to you will thank you for going with them. and you will love the company along the way. Even if you don't always get along with them, you'll never forget it. So that's, I think, the big takeaway I suggest from The Last Starfighter is answer that call to adventure. Take a couple of trips into the unknown in your life and enjoy them and embrace the wonder of them. Don't get too bogged down in programming while you're on it. Just embrace the moment. Embrace the excitement and the wonder. Okay? And come back with memories that sustain you through all the long, boring winter days where you get up, you clean off your car, you drive to the same spot for breakfast every morning, you drive to the office, you get yelled at by your boss, you come home, you eat, the same kind of food every week. Take the adventure every once in a while. Get out of your hobbit hole and enjoy. Because we all need that. We all need to hear those "Greetings, Starfighter. You have been selected by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. Ready? Begin." Although your adventure may be, "Greetings, person who's agreed to help clean up a major mess along one of the nature's parks. You've been selected by the forest rangers to help them clean up a bunch of junk and make a place beautiful again." Or, "Greetings, tree planter. You've been selected to go help reforest an area that has been devastated over the last several years." Or even just, "Greetings, vacationer. Welcome to a fun tropical island where you get to have a good time." Whatever the adventure is for you, when the opportunity comes, embrace it and take it and enjoy, because you guys deserve it. And hopefully, you guys feel that I also deserve your vote. Now, with all that in mind, I do want to say thank you to everybody. This Cheer Choice Awards thing is very humbling for me and very crazy making. Um, I appreciate you guys choosing to nominate me, and I hope it goes forward. Thank you very much, guys. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.